So, okay, welcome to another episode of In the Zone. And our theme for our YouTube show right now is eating protocols. And I'm here today with Patrick Willard, who has embarked on a new eating protocol. And I think he chose the Whole 30.
That's right.
And yeah, so we're going to talk to him about how this has affected him. But before we talk about that, I want to ask Patrick a few questions about what his relationship with food has been over the years, and what his relationship with food is now that he is, number one, a performance athlete, and just somebody that wants to be healthy. So, Patrick, talk to us about it.
Well, I think I was always the big kid, so that was my thing. My brother was more athletic than I
Like big
was.
kid, like how big of a big kid?
Like, I mean, not huge,
Okay, yeah.
but overweight.
Not an obese kid.
Not an obese kid, really,
Yeah.
but overweight.
Yeah.
And I like to eat, and I always ate more than my siblings, and I never really had the drive to lose the weight until my college freshman year, and then I lost 40 pounds.
What happened then?
I think it was just being in college and wanting to look better, and wanting to feel better, and just a different environment.
Got it.
Feeling like I needed to present myself differently.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So that's what I did, and that was during the low fat,
Okay.
fad or whatever.
Yeah,
so
yeah, right.
so that was how I lost it. So
Yeah. The government gave us that protocol.
probably I don't think it was ever sustainable, but it was
Right.
but it was quick.
Right.
The way that I lost it, and so then over the years I gradually put on the weight back.
Okay.
And so I didn't have a really clean eating plan until recently. In the last 6 months, I'd say,
Okay.
I've changed
Yeah.
a lot of how I eat, just being in this environment at the fitness zone,
Okay,
and with some very focused people here in their nutrition.
Yeah. So I hear you saying that sometimes it's not so necessary that. Let me borrow your mic for a minute. It's not so much about knowing what to eat and when to eat it. It's about being in an environment that is supportive, where people hold you accountable, where people of like-mindedness are doing some of the same things that you're doing.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think there's a motivation there, and inspiration.
Yeah.
And I think you can't understate how much when you do something that has results that are amazing, that you can't understand how that inspires other people. And that's what I've noticed after I did the Whole 30, is that I've never had so many likes on a post in Facebook. It was amazing, and have so many people reaching out to me in direct messages saying, how did you do that? Even though I'd posted about it, they just kind of skimmed over it. They wanted to know, like, directly from me how I personally did it.
Okay.
And so I've had a lot of people that are interested in it already, interested in doing what I've been doing.
Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah, we can't underestimate the power of being in a supportive environment. So now that we've kind of talked about that a little bit, let's get into some of the technical aspects or some of the intricacies of the Whole 30 meal plan. So talk to us about that and tell us, what goes into the Whole 30. What's the ingredients, so to speak?
Okay. So what I've been eating for the last, about 45 days, I guess, is mainly meats, vegetables, fruits, seeds, and nuts. And then what's taken away during that 30 days is dairy, sugar, grains, legumes, and preservatives, and alcohol. So all of that, it's very strict. All of that is taken away. And so I practiced beforehand because I had a couple of test runs.
Okay, so little test.
On recipes, cooking the recipes, and I was afraid that I wouldn't like the food that was on the plan, which I think is a common concern of a lot of people.
Yeah.
Is this going to be so different, or is it not going to taste good, and that sort of thing. So I test ran a couple of recipes, and they were really good. So that wasn't a problem anymore. Now it was in my brain of like the sugar addiction that I feel like I've had for a long time. I've always loved sweets, and that's been one of my biggest, I guess, pitfalls with dieting. So sweets, crept into my mind saying, don't do it. Don't you're gonna die without us. It's like seriously, like I felt like those thoughts were going through my head the last week before I did it. And then once I did it, it really opened me up to the sugar or the sweetness, not the sugar, but the sweetness of natural foods and the variety and diversity that we have in just food, like out of the garden.
Gotcha.
There's so much taste and there's so much variety and there's so much sweetness and degrees of sweetness in fruits and in vegetables that I feel like I never get and enjoy when I'm eating foods that are high in sugar and artificial sugar and sweeteners and things like that. It feels like it blunts the natural sweetness of natural foods.
Cool. So I'm hearing you say that once the refined sugar and the high sugar foods hurdle has been crossed, that you have more of an appreciation for the natural sugars in natural healthy foods.
That's right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it's really a relative thing as to how it addresses the pleasure centers in your brain. Really, it's a relative thing. So. Now, let me ask you this. Now that you've gone through the Whole 30, is the sugar monster still in the closet and you're afraid he's going to come out, or is he dead and gone forever? Tell me what your relationship is right now with sugar.
Well, I don't know. I don't think he's dead and gone forever, but I also don't think that, I think that getting past the 30 days, I think puts you in a really good place. And I don't feel like it's crept back or anything. I experimented on going on vacation with introducing foods back into my diet and sugar and things like that, and I didn't feel so good. And when I came back from vacation, I just immediately went back and got all my stuff that I've been shopping for. So the same groceries that I'd been doing in the Whole 30s, the same recipes have been my plan for the next week. Even though I'm not doing another round of Whole 30 per se, and I'm not telling myself that I'm going to have to be strict and that I can't veer off of it.
Yeah.
I have more intention about what I'm going to eat versus what I'm not going to eat.
Okay. Yeah.
And the sugar and the one of my biggest things, it seems so small, but I know it's big for other people too, is cream and sugar in their coffee in the mornings. I have clients that's one thing that they really don't want to give up. And I've noticed that was one of the easiest things. It didn't seem like it was going to be at all, but now I don't feel like I need any kind of, I could just have black coffee and so it is possible for the people who feel like they have to have cream and sugar in their coffee. It's I no longer feel like I need it.
Right. So I'm hearing that you went on vacation and you came off the protocol, so to speak, kind of splurged a little bit, maybe.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And now you're right at the very beginning of going back to, should I say, a more sustainable way of eating that is kind of maybe anchored by the Whole 30, but maybe less strict. Maybe you're not as maybe burdened by it or tied down to it as much. How easy is it going to be to make that transition back and still be able to maintain the gains that you made on Whole 30 while not exactly 100% following Whole 30?
That's a good question. I think that I'll continue to see a tightening up of my body, and that's what I felt during the Whole 30. Is that I lost what I felt like was the hardest part to lose was right here in my belly. The belly fat that I feel like was just from sugar and excess carbs. And things that I didn't need necessarily in my diet, but it was just kind of addiction, a little bit of sugar addiction. but I think now that, like I said, I'm more intentional about what I want to eat. I think that it will be difficult to see, it would be difficult to see the same kind of gains or losses, as it were, of body weight or. But I think if I keep 90% or 95% or something, which is what I feel like is actually sustainable. I don't feel like I need a lot of the things that I was eating before that were excess. It kind of remains to be seen a little bit, because it's one of those things where this weekend, when I was on vacation, I was invited out to eat a lot, to dinner, and then so you're having food that you're not cooking, so you don't know what all is in there. So that's just something that I guess I'll have to see how I adjust to that. If I'm going to go, because during the Whole30, I think I went to Whole Foods once. That was the only time I ate outside of my house, or something that I hadn't prepared.
Okay, that's really important for a lot of people to know, because I'm finding throughout this whole process of talking about eating protocols with different people is that the more you eat the foods that you prepare, the higher the compliance level, the more results you see. Right. So I guess once you know what goes into the food, you put it in there yourself, you're assured that it's there, and you're also assured that things that shouldn't be there are not there.
Right. Exactly.
So that takes you to a higher level of compliance and hence results. So the next thing is, I know you're a performance athlete, you're a CrossFitter, you just won your division at the War of the Watts. And I want to know how the Whole30, because when you started CrossFitting, you were not doing the Whole30.
No.
And during this process of getting in shape in good enough shape to win that event, which is a major event, you embarked on this Whole30 eating protocol.
Right.
So tell me about your performance level before, during, and how do you feel it's going to be as you progress forward with a more sustainable type of eating protocol? And on the end of that, let's add this question: do you think Whole30 could be sustainable, for long term? So.
Right. Well, I started regular CrossFit in August. So, and I noticed that I wasn't eating right, and we kind of talked about it in class, and so I started at that point. I started really looking at what I was doing with food and what I needed to do, and so that's when I started meal prepping. At that point, along the way towards December, and I got more serious about it, and was getting better at it, and finding things that I liked, and finding things that I could prepare pretty easily, and that I could stick with, and so that was all the way till January, and I think that eating clean helped me to get to a good point performance-wise, eating cleaner, I should say. It still wasn't like the thing that I was doing that really was different from during the Whole30. I think that was that on the weekends, during I was doing this clean eating, on the weekends I was not eating clean. On the weekends I was splurging.
Kind of undoing some of the things that you'd done during the week.
Right, and that's why I felt like I was on a plateau at that point. And it wasn't. It was actually after the War of the Watts. It was the day after the War of the Watts when I decided to do that I was going to do the Whole30.
Okay, all right.
Because I wanted to get to that point. So I was kind of doing my practice runs of the recipe. So I was eating a little bit on the plan before I started, but I wanted to give myself the day after, and also the day before, I wanted to eat a little bit more carbs before that crazy competition. Yeah. So after that is when I started the Whole30, and that was a month of intense, very strict. It felt like Lent, when you give up Lent times like 20. Right. Is what it felt like. If you've ever done given up something, now I'm very haughty about people giving up something for Lent. Oh, you gave up that one thing? Okay, great. Okay. But anyways, so yeah, as far as it being sustainable and where I am now, I think I don't know about it being something that I would want to do so strict. And I kind of miss having certain things like oats and rice in my, a little bit more variety in carbs instead of just potatoes.
Yeah.
So, fueling my workouts is something that I'm interested in learning more about, and how how the Whole30, how what I eat in the Whole30, whether it's enough for my workouts.
Okay.
And one thing that I did during the Whole30 that is not necessarily recommended is I had protein after my workouts that was in a powder form. It was egg white protein, so it's not forbidden or it's not off plan, but it's also they encourage you to eat your meals and not drink them.
Yeah.
So they don't want you doing smoothies and that sort of thing.
Right. Okay.
So that's something that I did, that I made a decision to do, and that's something that I'll continue to do. But I've figured out that I like the egg white protein, and so I may stick with that.
Okay. So, quick question: we didn't talk about how much weight you lost during the Whole30. Now, I just happen to know that you were not like some overweight or obese person. I mean, for me, looking at you, look like you're in pretty good shape. But I guess what you were looking for is more of a more ideal strength to weight ratio to go, by going on the Whole30. But it just didn't seem like you needed to lose a whole lot of weight. But how much did you lose in terms of pounds?
So I weighed in on the first day. I weighed in at 214, and I got down to 198. So about 16 pounds.
Yeah.
And that my goal was to get down below 200, because I hadn't been down below 200 in probably about 20 years. Ooh. So
Wow.
so that was a big win for me.
Yeah.
And also it was just relatively, it was in the past year it was big, because I had kind of plateaued off at 210 after wore the wads when I had my victory meals. I guess I got all the way back up to 214. But yeah, getting down there was really big for me, and also getting above the bar. So that was the big thing. That was also another goal, because I knew it was kind of I had decided that I wanted to lean out more for the open and be able to get my muscle up, and which I was able to do.
Yeah.
So that was another big victory, and so that, I feel like it worked. And the two big things for me, getting down below 200 was a big goal, getting off my plateau, but also getting down below 200, and then being able to get my muscle up. So I felt like my performance really got better.
Cool.
And listening to the CrossFit podcast as well, they're talking about getting, just how much your performance gets better when you get your body fat down towards, 10% and that sort of thing. So, they're saying, you're running faster, you're performing better, your engine's better, all these things, which makes sense. But I think having it, actually happen to me to where I was above the bar, like the next time I tried after losing the weight, really made a difference.
Cool. All right, so there you have it. There's another look at eating protocols. We looked at the Whole30, and we've concluded that Patrick had a lot of success with that, not only just in weight loss, but also in performance. So, I just want to continue to talk to different people about eating protocols, and what I want to do is find the commonalities between all these different eating protocols, especially of the people who've had really good success. So, Patrick, thank you for sharing with us, and thank you guys for watching. And we want you guys to share our videos, like them, and subscribe. Thank you.